In Turkey, massive stone pillars weighing several tons each stand arranged in perfect circles, carved with intricate symbols by people who supposedly lived in caves and hunted with stone tools. These monuments were built over 11,000 years ago, before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before humanity was even supposed to know how to organize large construction projects. And then, inexplicably, their creators buried the entire site and vanished without a trace. But that's just the beginning. Beneath the waters off coastlines around the world, entire cities rest in silence, their streets and buildings perfectly preserved by the sea that claimed them thousands of years before our recorded history even begins. In Indonesia, ground-penetrating radar has revealed chambers and terraces hidden inside what looks like a natural hill, suggesting a monument so ancient it would rewrite everything we thought we knew about human civilization. Tonight, we're diving into evidence that challenges the very foundation of our historical timeline. Stone blocks weighing 800 tons, moved and placed with precision that baffles modern engineers, underwater ruins that predate any known civilization, and construction techniques so advanced that we still can't replicate them today, even with our modern machinery. I'm not here to convince you of wild theories or ancient aliens. Instead, we're going to examine actual archaeological discoveries that mainstream science struggles to explain. Sites that have been carbon dated, measured, and studied by respected institutions, yet somehow don't fit the neat timeline we've been taught about human development. Because here's what's becoming increasingly clear. Our ancestors weren't the primitive hunter-gatherers we've imagined. The evidence suggests they possessed knowledge, organizational skills, and engineering capabilities that we're only now beginning to appreciate. And some of their greatest achievements have been hidden beneath our feet and under our oceans for thousands of years, waiting patiently to challenge everything we think we know about the dawn of civilization. So, settle in, because what you're about to discover might just change how you see human history forever. We'll explore sites that predate our supposed first cities by thousands of years, examine construction techniques that modern science can't fully explain, and uncover evidence that suggests our timeline of human civilization might be missing some very important chapters. The story begins with a simple question. If modern humans have existed for 300,000 years, why do we only have evidence of advanced civilization from the last 6,000? The answer, as we're about to see, might be that we've been looking in all the wrong places. For most of human existence, our species lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers, moving in small groups across vast landscapes, following herds and seasonal changes. They left behind few permanent structures, no written records, and little evidence of complex organization. This lifestyle continued for roughly 294,000 years of our 300,000-year existence as modern humans. Then, around 12,000 years ago, something remarkable happened. The last ice age ended, climate stabilized, and humans began settling down. They developed agriculture, domesticated animals, and built the first permanent villages. This transition, known as the Neolithic Revolution, laid the groundwork for what we consider civilization. The first true cities emerged around 6,000 years ago in places like Mesopotamia and the Levant. These early urban centers brought together thousands of people, organized trade networks, established governments, and created the monumental architecture we associate with ancient civilizations. Soon after, writing systems developed, giving us the historical records that form the backbone of our understanding of the ancient world. This timeline seems logical and well supported by archaeological evidence. It shows a clear progression from simple hunter-gatherer societies to complex civilizations over thousands of years. But there's a problem with this neat narrative, and it's becoming harder to ignore. Recent archaeological discoveries have begun revealing sites that don't fit this timeline at all, structures that appear to predate agriculture by thousands of years. Evidence of large-scale organization among supposedly simple hunter-gatherer societies. and construction techniques that seem impossibly advanced for their time period. These discoveries force us to confront an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe our timeline isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. Maybe there are chapters of human history we've missed entirely, hidden beneath layers of earth and time, waiting to challenge our most basic assumptions about how civilization developed. The evidence doesn't suggest that ancient humans had technology beyond our own, but it does suggest they were capable of far more than we've given them credit for. And some of their greatest achievements might have been erased by the very forces that shaped our planet. Rising sea levels, geological upheavals, and the relentless passage of time. Consider this. If a global catastrophe struck our modern world, what would survive 10,000 years from now? Our cities are built near coastlines that could be submerged by rising seas. Our buildings rely on materials that decay without constant maintenance. Even our most durable structures would eventually crumble, leaving only scattered fragments for future archaeologists to puzzle over. The same forces that would erase our civilization have been at work throughout human history. Coastlines have shifted dramatically as ice sheets melted and reformed. Entire regions have been submerged, buried under sediment, or destroyed by volcanic activity. The archaeological record we rely on represents only a tiny fraction of what once existed. This understanding opens up intriguing possibilities. What if some of humanity's earliest experiments with complex society occurred along ancient coastlines now lost beneath the sea? What if sophisticated cultures rose and fell during the vast stretches of time we consider prehistory, leaving only scattered traces for us to discover? We're not talking about lost civilizations with flying machines or laser weapons. We're talking about the possibility that human ingenuity, creativity, and organizational ability emerged much earlier than we've assumed. That our ancestors were building monumental structures, developing complex belief systems, and creating sophisticated societies thousands of years before our textbooks suggest such things were possible. The evidence for these possibilities is scattered across the globe, hidden in plain sight. Massive stone structures that predate known civilizations, underwater ruins that suggest advanced coastal settlements, construction techniques that demonstrate knowledge we thought was developed much later in human history. Each discovery on its own might be dismissed as an anomaly or explained away through conventional theories. But taken together, they paint a picture of human capability that extends far deeper into the past than we've been willing to acknowledge. In southeastern Turkey, a site called Göbekli Tepe has rewritten our understanding of what hunter-gatherer societies could accomplish. This remarkable complex consists of massive stone pillars arranged in circles, some standing over 16 feet tall and weighing several tons each. The pillars are covered with intricate carvings of animals, symbols, and mysterious humanoid figures. What makes Göbekli Tepe truly extraordinary isn't just its age, though that's certainly impressive. Carbon dating places the site at nearly 12,000 years old, making it roughly 6,000 years older than Stonehenge, and predating the supposed invention of agriculture. What's remarkable is the level of organization and planning required to create it. Moving stones of this size would have required coordinated effort from hundreds of people. The precision of the carvings suggests skilled artisans working with sophisticated tools. The astronomical alignments built into the site indicate advanced knowledge of celestial movements. This wasn't the work of a small band of wandering hunter-gatherers. It required a complex society with specialized roles, hierarchical organization, and the ability to mobilize massive resources for a common purpose. But perhaps most mysteriously, Göbekli Tepe was intentionally buried around 10,000 years ago. The entire site was carefully covered with tons of earth and stone, a process that would have required almost as much effort as building it in the first place. We have no idea why its creators chose to hide their masterpiece from the world. Göbekli Tepe isn't an isolated anomaly. Nearby sites like Karahan Tepe and Nevali Kori reveal similar construction techniques and artistic styles, suggesting this was part of a broader cultural tradition. These sites collectively point to a sophisticated civilization operating in the region thousands of years before such complexity was supposed to exist. The implications are staggering. If hunter-gatherer societies were capable of creating monuments like Göbekli Tepe, what else might they have accomplished? And if they chose to bury their greatest achievement, what other sites might be waiting beneath our feet, hidden by time and intention? The discovery challenges our most basic assumptions about the progression of human civilization. We've assumed that complex society required agriculture, permanent settlements, and population density to develop. But Göbekli Tepe suggests that sophisticated social organization, artistic achievement, and monumental construction were possible long before these supposed prerequisites existed. This realization forces us to reconsider what we think we know about our ancestors. Maybe the development of civilization wasn't a linear progression from simple to complex. Maybe it was a series of experiments, some successful, some abandoned, some deliberately hidden from future generations. The story of Göbekli Tepe is just the beginning. Across the globe, other sites are emerging that challenge our timeline in similar ways. Each discovery adds another piece to a puzzle that's far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined. And as we'll see, some of the most intriguing evidence might not be on land at all, but hidden beneath the waves, in the ruins of coastal civilizations that were claimed by rising seas thousands of years ago. The ocean floors hold secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of when and how human civilization truly began. The question isn't whether these discoveries prove the existence of a lost super-civilization. It's whether they reveal that human capability and ingenuity stretch much further back in time than we've been willing to admit. And if that's the case, how much of our own history have we lost to the forces of time and nature? The waters off the coast of Japan conceal something that shouldn't exist. Massive stone terraces, perfectly carved steps, and geometric chambers that plunge deep beneath the waves. These aren't natural formations shaped by currents and time. They're the remnants of something built with intention, precision, and knowledge that challenges everything we've been taught about when human civilization truly began. Welcome to the hidden world of underwater archaeology, where some of humanity's most profound mysteries rest in silence beneath the sea. When the last ice age ended roughly 12,000 years ago, melting glaciers raised ocean levels by nearly 400 feet. Entire coastlines vanished overnight in geological terms, taking with them any evidence of the people who might have lived there. Think about it this way. Even today, most of our major cities cluster along coastlines. New York, Tokyo, London, Sydney. If sea levels rose dramatically tomorrow, these centers of human achievement would disappear beneath the waves, leaving future archaeologists to wonder if our civilization had ever existed at all. The same fate may have befallen countless ancient settlements, erasing whole chapters of human history that we're only now beginning to rediscover. The Yonaguni Monument off the southern tip of Japan presents one of the most compelling examples of this lost world. Discovered in the 1980s by a diving instructor exploring the clear waters around Yonaguni Island, the structure immediately divided the archaeological community. What he found wasn't just a collection of interesting rock formations. It was a complex of massive stone platforms, terraces, and what appeared to be deliberately carved channels and steps. The monument stretches over 150 feet in length and rises nearly 80 feet from the ocean floor. Its geometric precision is striking. Perfectly straight edges, right angles, and stepped platforms that seem almost architectural in their design. Some sections feature what appear to be carved channels, circular holes, and even what looks like a ceremonial platform or stage area. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura from the University of the Ryukyus has spent decades studying the monument. His analysis suggests that the structure shows clear signs of human modification. Tool marks, geometric patterns, and architectural elements that would be virtually impossible for natural erosion to create. If Kimura is correct, and the monument is indeed man-made, it would represent one of the oldest monumental structures ever discovered. The age question becomes crucial here. The monument would have been above sea level during the last ice age, when ocean levels were much lower. This means that if it was built by humans, it could be anywhere from 10 to 15,000 years old, predating most known civilizations by thousands of years. But Yonaguni isn't alone. Similar underwater structures have been discovered around the globe, each one adding another piece to the puzzle of our submerged past. Off the coast of India, near the modern city of Dwarka, divers have uncovered what appears to be an ancient port city. Stone walls, foundations, and carved blocks rest on the ocean floor, some dating back over 7,000 years. The site matches descriptions from ancient Sanskrit texts that spoke of a magnificent city built by Lord Krishna, a place most scholars had dismissed as purely mythological. Yet here, beneath the waves, are the ruins of what appears to be a sophisticated urban centre, complete with planned streets, defensive walls, and elaborate architecture. Carbon dating of artifacts recovered from the site has produced dates ranging from 7,500 to 9,000 years old, making it one of the oldest urban settlements ever discovered. The implications are staggering. While mainstream archaeology tells us that the first cities emerged around 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, Dwarka suggests that sophisticated urban planning and monumental construction were happening thousands of years earlier in other parts of the world. Moving across the globe to the Mediterranean, we find Atlit Yam off the coast of Israel. This Neolithic village provides perhaps the clearest example of how much human history has been lost to rising seas. Discovered in 1984, the site has been remarkably preserved by the protective layers of sand and sediment. The village includes stone-built houses, hearths, wells, and even human burials still in their original positions. What makes Atlit Yam particularly significant is its age and level of preservation. Dating back nearly 9,000 years, it offers an unprecedented window into life during the Neolithic period. The site even contains evidence of some of the earliest known cases of tuberculosis in human remains. But perhaps most intriguingly, Atlit Yam shows clear signs of having been abandoned suddenly. The wells were filled with sand, suggesting rapid flooding. The arrangement of artifacts suggests people left quickly, without time to gather their possessions. This pattern of sudden abandonment appears at underwater sites around the world, hinting at rapid sea level changes that caught ancient populations off guard. These discoveries force us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about early human societies. The scale and sophistication of these underwater settlements suggests that coastal populations during the post-Ice Age period were far more advanced than we've assumed. They were building permanent structures, organizing complex communities, and developing technologies that we're only now beginning to understand. The preservation of these sites also offers something else, a glimpse of what we've lost. For every underwater ruin we've discovered, how many more remain hidden beneath the waves? How many ancient cities, monuments, and settlements have been claimed by the sea, taking with them irreplaceable evidence of early human achievement? The Mediterranean Sea alone has revealed dozens of submerged settlements, each one pushing back the timeline of complex human society. Near Greece, the underwater city of Pavlopetri dates back over 5,000 years, making it one of the oldest submerged urban centers in the world. The site includes streets, buildings, courtyards, and tombs, all laid out in a sophisticated urban plan that challenges our understanding of Bronze Age capabilities. What emerges from these underwater discoveries is a picture of the ancient world that's far more complex and interconnected than we've imagined. These weren't isolated settlements scratching out a bare existence. They were part of networks of trade, communication, and cultural exchange that spanned vast distances and time periods. The technology required to build these underwater cities also suggests capabilities we haven't fully appreciated. Moving massive stone blocks, creating precise architectural alignments, and organizing the labor forces necessary for large-scale construction all point to societies with sophisticated knowledge and organizational systems. Yet, for all their achievements, these civilizations share one common fate. They were claimed by the sea. Rising waters that accompanied the end of the Ice Age didn't just change coastlines. They erased entire cultures, leaving only scattered traces for modern archaeology to discover. The implications extend far beyond individual sites. If sophisticated coastal civilizations existed thousands of years before our accepted timeline, what other assumptions about human development might need revision? How much of our understanding of the past is based on incomplete evidence, shaped by the accident of what happened to survive above sea level? These questions become even more pressing when we consider that we've explored less than 10% of the ocean floor in detail. Vast areas of the continental shelves, where ancient coastlines would have existed, remain unmapped and unexplored. Each new underwater discovery hints at the magnitude of what we still don't know about our own history. The evidence beneath the waves suggests that the story of human civilization is far older, more complex, and more mysterious than we've been taught. And as we'll see next, the land-based discoveries that complement these underwater finds paint an even more intriguing picture of ancient human capabilities that seem to defy our understanding of technological development. In the mountains of Lebanon, 3 limestone blocks, each weighing as much as 4 Boeing 747 jumbo jets, were somehow lifted, transported, and placed with surgical precision by people who supposedly had nothing but copper tools and wooden levers. These aren't just big rocks. They're perfectly cut architectural elements that form part of a temple complex, so precisely engineered that modern construction crews would struggle to replicate it today. But that's just one piece of a puzzle that's been hiding in plain sight across every continent on Earth. Stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons, fitted together so perfectly that you can't slide a razor blade between them. Drill holes so precise they appear machine-made. Construction techniques that require knowledge of mathematics, physics, and engineering that we're told didn't exist when these monuments were built. Tonight we're examining physical evidence that suggests our ancestors possessed capabilities that challenge everything we think we know about ancient technology. These aren't theoretical discussions or speculative interpretations. These are measurable, photographable, undeniable examples of engineering that seems impossible for the time periods we've assigned to them. At Sacsayhuaman in Peru, massive polygonal stones weighing over 100 tons each have been shaped and fitted with tolerances that would impress modern precision manufacturers. The builders used no mortar, relying instead on cuts so exact that the massive blocks lock together like 3-dimensional puzzles. Earthquake after earthquake has shaken the region for centuries, yet these walls remain standing while more recent constructions crumble around them. The precision isn't accidental or lucky. Every angle, every curve, every surface shows evidence of deliberate planning and execution. These builders understood structural engineering principles that weren't supposed to be discovered until thousands of years later. They knew how to distribute weight, manage stress loads, and create earthquake-resistant structures that still function perfectly today. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, scattered across a high-altitude plateau, lie stone blocks that showcase machining precision that seems impossibly advanced for any pre-industrial civilization. Perfectly straight grooves, complex interlocking shapes, and surfaces polished to mirror-like finishes. The stones are made of andesite and red sandstone, materials so hard that working them with copper tools would be nearly impossible. Yet the evidence of sophisticated tool marks is everywhere. The blocks show signs of having been mass-produced using standardized measurements and techniques. Some feature complex 3-dimensional joints that would require advanced mathematical calculations to design. Others display evidence of drilling techniques that create perfectly round holes with consistent diameters throughout their depth. Modern attempts to replicate these features using period-appropriate tools have largely failed. What makes these sites even more mysterious is their apparent age. While mainstream archaeology places most of these monuments within known historical periods, many show signs of much greater antiquity. Weathering patterns, geological evidence, and cultural discontinuities suggest that some of these structures might be far older than we've assumed. The massive trilithon blocks at Baalbek in Lebanon present perhaps the most extreme example of ancient heavy lifting. Each block weighs approximately 800 tons and was somehow transported from a quarry site and lifted into position as part of a temple foundation. Even with modern cranes, moving stones of this size would be an extraordinary engineering challenge. How did ancient builders accomplish this feat without the machinery we consider essential for such work? The quarry site itself provides additional clues. There, archaeologists have found an even larger block, weighing an estimated 1,200 tons, that was apparently prepared for transport but never moved. The stone shows clear evidence of having been cut and shaped, with precise tool marks visible across its surface. If completed and transported, it would have been the largest stone block ever moved by human beings in recorded history. These aren't isolated examples. Similar precision stonework appears around the globe, often in locations separated by thousands of miles and supposedly thousands of years. The techniques are remarkably consistent, suggesting either widespread cultural exchange or independent development of similar advanced methods. At Ollantaytambo in Peru, another Inca site showcases walls built from massive granite blocks transported from a quarry located across a river valley. The logistics of moving stones weighing dozens of tons across such terrain would challenge modern engineering teams. Yet somehow, ancient builders accomplished this task and fitted the blocks together with the same precision we see at other sites. The construction methods remain largely mysterious. No contemporary written records describe the techniques used. No tools capable of achieving such precision have been found at the sites. No clear explanation exists for how societies that supposedly lacked advanced mathematics, metallurgy, and engineering knowledge could have planned and executed such complex projects. Some researchers have proposed innovative but conventional explanations. Perhaps ancient builders used sophisticated lever systems, ramps, and rope networks that have since disappeared. Maybe they employed techniques involving controlled heating and cooling of stones to facilitate shaping. Possibly, they had access to advanced alloys or tool-making methods that we haven't discovered in the archaeological record. These explanations, while plausible, still struggle to account for the sheer scale and precision of the work. Moving 800-ton blocks requires more than clever engineering. It demands advanced planning, massive labor coordination, and techniques for achieving tolerances that would be impressive even by modern standards. The precision extends beyond just the cutting and fitting of stones. Many of these sites show evidence of advanced surveying and astronomical alignment. The builders clearly understood geometry, trigonometry, and celestial mechanics well enough to incorporate complex mathematical relationships into their constructions. At Giza in Egypt, the Great Pyramid demonstrates precision that continues to amaze engineers and mathematicians. Its orientation to true north is accurate to within a fraction of a degree. The ratios built into its dimensions encode mathematical constants that weren't supposed to be known until much later in human history. The internal chambers show evidence of acoustic properties that suggest sophisticated understanding of sound and resonance. Similar mathematical precision appears at sites around the world. Stone circles in Britain demonstrate knowledge of complex geometric relationships. Temple complexes in Cambodia incorporate astronomical alignments that require centuries of careful observation to develop. Monuments in the Americas show understanding of mathematical concepts that weren't supposed to exist in pre-Columbian societies. This consistency suggests that ancient builders possessed a body of knowledge that we've largely lost or overlooked. They understood principles of mathematics, engineering, and astronomy that enabled them to create structures that continue to function and impress thousands of years later. The materials themselves often add another layer of mystery. Many of these monuments are built from stones that had to be transported enormous distances, often across difficult terrain. The builders clearly chose specific materials for specific purposes, suggesting detailed knowledge of geology and material properties. At Easter Island, the famous statues were carved from volcanic rock, quarried at specific locations, and transported across the island to their final positions. The logistics of moving hundreds of multi-ton statues across rough terrain remains a subject of debate among archaeologists and engineers. The builders of these monuments also demonstrated sophisticated understanding of preservation techniques. Many structures have survived for thousands of years in environments that would quickly destroy lesser constructions. This longevity wasn't accidental, but resulted from careful material selection, structural design, and construction techniques specifically chosen for durability. What emerges from examining these sites is a picture of ancient technological capability that doesn't fit neatly into our standard historical narrative. These builders possess knowledge and skills that enabled them to accomplish feats that would challenge modern engineering teams. Yet somehow, much of this knowledge appears to have been lost, leaving us to puzzle over techniques and methods that once enabled such extraordinary achievements. The implications extend far beyond individual sites or cultures. If ancient humans possess such advanced capabilities, what other assumptions about the development of human knowledge might need revision? How much sophisticated understanding has been lost over the centuries, erased by wars, natural disasters, or simple neglect? These questions become even more intriguing when we consider that many of these sites show signs of having been abandoned or deliberately buried, much like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Why would civilizations capable of such extraordinary achievements choose to hide or abandon their greatest works? What circumstances could have led to the loss of knowledge that enabled such precision and scale? The answers to these questions might be more disturbing than we're prepared to accept. Because what if the loss wasn't gradual? What if it happened suddenly, catastrophically, in ways that erased not just individual sites, but entire civilizations from the historical record? Around the world, oral traditions speak of great floods, burning skies, and vanished peoples. Stories that we've dismissed as mythology might actually be the collective memory of real events that reshaped human civilization in ways we're only now beginning to understand. The geological record supports the possibility of sudden, dramatic changes that could have wiped out advanced societies without warning. Consider the Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,800 years ago, when Earth's climate shifted dramatically in what geologists describe as a cosmic blink of an eye. Temperatures plummeted, ice sheets reformed, and sea levels fluctuated wildly. Any coastal civilizations existing during this period would have faced unprecedented challenges. Many might not have survived, but the evidence suggests something even more intriguing. Some of these ancient sites show signs of having been deliberately preserved or protected before abandonment. At Göbekli Tepe, the careful burial process suggests the builders knew something was coming. They took extraordinary measures to ensure their monument would survive, even if their civilization didn't. This pattern of intentional preservation appears at sites around the world. Underground chambers sealed with precision, monuments buried under tons of protective earth, artifacts carefully hidden in locations designed to survive catastrophic events. It's almost as if ancient builders were creating time capsules, preserving knowledge and achievements for future generations to discover. The technology required for such preservation efforts would have been considerable. Moving thousands of tons of earth and stone requires organization, planning, and engineering capabilities that go far beyond what we associate with prehistoric societies. Yet the evidence is undeniable. someone with significant resources and advanced knowledge made deliberate decisions to protect these sites from destruction. But protection from what? The answer might lie in the myths and legends that cultures around the world have preserved for thousands of years. Stories of great floods that covered the earth, tales of fire falling from the sky, accounts of civilizations that vanished overnight, leaving only scattered survivors to tell their stories. Modern geology has revealed that Earth's history includes numerous catastrophic events capable of ending civilizations, massive volcanic eruptions that blocked sunlight for years, asteroid impacts that triggered global climate changes, sudden shifts in ocean currents that altered weather patterns across entire continents. Any of these events could have destroyed advanced societies while leaving only fragmentary evidence of their existence. The Toba supervolcanic eruption, roughly 74,000 years ago, created a volcanic winter that may have reduced the global human population to just a few thousand individuals. While this event predates the civilizations we're discussing, it demonstrates the scale of natural disasters that Earth has experienced. More recent events, while smaller in scale, could still have devastated regional civilizations. The Mediterranean region, for example, has experienced numerous catastrophic volcanic eruptions throughout recorded history. The explosion of Thera, modern-day Santorini, around 3,600 years ago, devastated the Minoan civilization and may have inspired the Atlantis legend. Earlier eruptions could have had even more dramatic effects on developing civilizations. These geological realities add credibility to the flood myths found in cultures worldwide. The Epic of Gilgamesh, biblical accounts, and indigenous traditions from every continent describe similar catastrophic flooding events. While the details vary, the core narrative remains remarkably consistent. Advanced civilizations destroyed by rising waters, with only a few survivors preserving knowledge of what was lost. Recent research into ice core data and geological records has revealed evidence of multiple rapid sea level changes throughout human history. The meltwater pulse events that followed the last ice age weren't gradual processes. They were sudden releases of enormous volumes of water that could have raised sea levels by several meters in just decades or centuries. Any coastal civilization caught in such an event would have had little time to adapt. Cities would have been submerged, populations displaced, and knowledge centers destroyed. The survivors would have been forced to start over, carrying only fragments of their former achievements into an uncertain future. This scenario explains many of the mysteries we've encountered. Why do we find evidence of advanced capabilities in prehistoric sites, but no clear continuity with later civilizations? Because the continuity was broken by catastrophic events that forced humanity to rebuild from scattered remnants. The precision stonework at sites like Sacsayhuaman might represent knowledge preserved by survivors of earlier disasters. The astronomical alignments at Göbekli Tepe could be attempts to record and preserve celestial knowledge that had been lost and painfully rediscovered. The deliberate burial of these sites might have been final acts of preservation before abandoning regions that had become uninhabitable. This interpretation doesn't require exotic technologies or lost super civilizations. It simply recognizes that human ingenuity and achievement have ancient roots, and that natural disasters have repeatedly interrupted the development of complex societies. Each catastrophe forced survivors to preserve what they could, while adapting to dramatically changed circumstances. The underground cities of Cappadocia in Turkey provide a fascinating example of how ancient peoples prepared for catastrophic events. These vast subterranean complexes could shelter thousands of people for extended periods, complete with ventilation systems, food storage, and defensive features. They represent sophisticated engineering and long-term planning for survival during dangerous times. Similar underground complexes have been discovered around the world, Often in regions with histories of volcanic activity, seismic instability, or other natural hazards, these weren't simple shelters, but carefully designed survival systems that could maintain communities through extended periods of surface danger. The existence of such facilities suggests that ancient peoples were acutely aware of catastrophic risks and took extraordinary measures to prepare for them. This awareness might have come from direct experience with previous disasters, or from preserved knowledge of earlier catastrophes passed down through oral traditions. Archaeological evidence from various sites shows signs of sudden abandonment followed by attempts at preservation, valuable artifacts carefully buried, important structures sealed, and knowledge encoded in durable materials like stone. These patterns suggest that ancient civilizations faced recurring cycles of growth, catastrophe, and recovery. Each cycle would have preserved some knowledge while losing other aspects of civilization. Over time, this process could have created the fragmented picture we see today. Evidence of advanced capabilities scattered across different time periods and geographical regions, with gaps in continuity that make it difficult to reconstruct complete historical narratives. The implications are profound. If human civilization has experienced multiple cycles of development and catastrophic interruption, our current understanding of technological and social progress might be fundamentally incomplete. We might be rediscovering capabilities that were known, lost, and rediscovered multiple times throughout human history. This cyclical view of civilization doesn't diminish human achievement. Instead, it suggests that human ingenuity and resilience are even more remarkable than we've realized. Our ancestors didn't just survive natural disasters, they developed sophisticated methods for preserving knowledge and rebuilding after catastrophic losses. The stone monuments, underground cities, and precisely engineered structures we've examined might represent humanity's repeated attempts to create something permanent in an impermanent world. Each generation built upon the knowledge of their predecessors, while adding their own innovations and adaptations to changing circumstances. But the most intriguing possibility is that we're not just studying ancient history. We might be examining a pattern that continues to shape human civilization today. The same forces that challenged our ancestors, climate change, geological instability, and resource scarcity, continue to influence our world. Understanding how previous civilizations faced these challenges, what knowledge they preserved, and how they adapted to catastrophic change might provide crucial insights for our own future. The engineering techniques that enabled ancient builders to create earthquake-resistant structures, the organizational methods that allowed massive construction projects, and the preservation strategies that protected knowledge through dark ages could all have practical applications today. The evidence we've explored suggests that human capability extends much deeper into the past than conventional timelines acknowledge. Our ancestors were not primitive beings struggling to survive in a hostile world. They were sophisticated problem solvers who developed advanced technologies, organized complex societies, and created enduring monuments that continue to challenge our understanding thousands of years later. Yet their greatest achievement might have been their ability to preserve essential knowledge through periods of catastrophic change, ensuring that each new cycle of civilization could build upon the foundations laid by those who came before. In their careful burial of sites, their encoding of astronomical knowledge in stone, and their creation of survival systems designed to outlast disasters, they left us not just monuments to their capabilities, but blueprints for resilience that we're only beginning to appreciate. As we continue to discover more evidence of ancient achievements, we're not just learning about the past, we're uncovering a deeper understanding of human potential and the cyclical nature of civilization itself. And that understanding might be more relevant to our future than we've ever imagined. The discovery was made by accident in 1994, when construction workers in Bosnia began uncovering what they thought was just another hill. But ground-penetrating radar revealed something impossible. Perfectly geometric chambers, precisely angled tunnels, and massive stone blocks arranged in ways that shouldn't exist. The structure they'd stumbled upon was larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and according to carbon dating, it was built over 25,000 years ago. That's 15,000 years before we supposedly invented agriculture. 20,000 years before the first known cities. At a time when mainstream archaeology insists humans were still living in caves and hunting with stone tools. But the Bosnian pyramid, as it came to be known, isn't alone. Similar discoveries are emerging worldwide, each one more challenging to our accepted timeline than the last, and they're forcing us to confront a possibility that mainstream science has been reluctant to acknowledge. That our current understanding of human civilization might be missing entire chapters of advancement and decline that played out across tens of thousands of years. The patterns are becoming impossible to ignore. Advanced construction techniques appearing simultaneously across different continents. Knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that supposedly wouldn't be developed for millennia. And most mysteriously, evidence that many of these ancient achievements were deliberately hidden or abandoned, as if their creators knew something catastrophic was coming. What we're looking at isn't just a few anomalous sites that don't fit our timeline. We're seeing evidence of a systematic pattern of advanced human capability that extends much deeper into prehistory than we've been willing to admit. And the implications are staggering. Because if these discoveries are legitimate, if the dating is accurate, if the evidence means what it appears to mean, then we're not the first advanced civilization this planet has seen. We might not even be the second or third. We might be part of a cycle of human achievement and catastrophic loss that has repeated itself multiple times throughout history, leaving only scattered fragments for each new civilization to rediscover. The evidence is hidden in plain sight, scattered across every continent, waiting beneath our feet and under our oceans. Ancient sites that showcase capabilities we struggle to replicate today. Construction techniques that require knowledge we thought was developed much later, and preservation methods that suggest our ancestors understood something about the cyclical nature of civilization that we've forgotten. Tonight, we're going to examine this evidence with the scrutiny it deserves. Not through the lens of sensational theories or ancient alien speculation, but through careful analysis of archaeological data, geological evidence, and the mounting body of discoveries that simply don't fit the neat progression from primitive to advanced that we've been taught to accept. The story that emerges is both humbling and extraordinary. It suggests that human ingenuity, creativity, and technological capability have ancient roots that extend far deeper into the past than we've imagined. And it raises profound questions about what we might learn from these lost civilizations, what knowledge they preserved, and what warnings they might have left for those who would follow in their footsteps. In the remote mountains of Bosnia and Herzegovina, what appeared to be a natural hill called Visočica began revealing secrets that would challenge everything we thought we knew about European prehistory. Dr. Semir Osmanagić, a Bosnian businessman and amateur archaeologist, first proposed in 2005 that the hill was actually a man-made pyramid. His claims were initially met with skepticism from the archaeological community, but as excavations progressed, the evidence became harder to dismiss. The structure, now known as the Pyramid of the Sun, displays features that seem inconsistent with natural geological formation. Perfectly flat surfaces, precise geometric angles, and what appear to be constructed terraces and platforms. Ground-penetrating radar revealed internal chambers and tunnel networks that extend deep into the structure. Most intriguingly, the pyramid appears to be aligned with cardinal directions with remarkable precision. But dating the structure proved controversial. Initial estimates suggested it could be anywhere from 12,000 to 25,000 years old, based on analysis of soil layers and organic materials found during excavation. If accurate, these dates would make it not only the oldest pyramid on Earth, but also evidence of advanced construction techniques in Europe thousands of years before such capabilities were thought to exist. The tunnel network beneath the pyramid complex presents another puzzle. These aren't natural cave systems. but appear to be deliberately constructed passages with smooth walls, consistent dimensions, and purposeful layouts. Some tunnels stretch for kilometers underground, connecting different parts of the pyramid complex in ways that suggest sophisticated planning and engineering. Carbon dating of organic materials found in the tunnels has produced dates ranging from 5,000 to over 30,000 years old, though these results remain disputed. The wide range of dates could suggest that the tunnel system was constructed over extended periods, or that different materials became incorporated into the structure at various times throughout history. The construction techniques evident in the Bosnian complex bear striking similarities to other ancient sites around the world. Massive stone blocks fitted together with precision, sophisticated understanding of structural engineering, and evidence of advanced planning and coordination. These parallels suggest either remarkable coincidence or the existence of shared knowledge and techniques across ancient cultures. Critics of the Bosnian pyramid theory argue that the formations are natural geological features modified by erosion and human activity over thousands of years. They point out that the region has a long history of human habitation, and that medieval settlements in the area could account for some of the structural modifications observed today. However, supporters of the pyramid theory note that the precision of angles, the alignment with cardinal directions, and the sophisticated internal structure would be extremely unlikely to result from natural processes alone. They argue that the evidence points to deliberate construction using advanced techniques that weren't supposed to exist in prehistoric Europe. The controversy surrounding the Bosnian pyramids highlights broader questions about how we evaluate evidence that challenges established historical timelines. When discoveries don't fit existing paradigms, there's often tension between the desire to maintain accepted theories and the need to objectively evaluate new evidence. Similar controversies have emerged around other sites that suggest much earlier dates for advanced human capabilities. The key question isn't whether these sites prove the existence of lost super-civilizations, but whether they indicate that human technological and organizational abilities developed much earlier than previously assumed. Archaeological dating methods, while generally reliable, can be complicated by factors like contamination, reuse of materials, and the complex relationships between different layers of human activity at ancient sites. This uncertainty creates space for different interpretations of the same evidence, leading to ongoing debates about the true age and significance of controversial discoveries. What makes the Bosnian pyramid complex particularly intriguing is its scale and apparent integration with the surrounding landscape. If the structures are indeed artificial, they represent a massive undertaking that would have required significant organizational capabilities and sustained effort over extended periods. This level of coordination and planning challenges assumptions about the capabilities of prehistoric European societies. The site also raises questions about preservation and abandonment patterns. Like Göbekli Tepe and other ancient sites, parts of the Bosnian complex appear to have been deliberately covered or buried. This pattern of intentional concealment appears across multiple ancient sites worldwide, suggesting that abandonment and burial might have been common practices among ancient builders. Understanding why ancient peoples chose to bury their greatest achievements remains one of the most persistent mysteries in archaeology. Was it protection from natural disasters, religious or ceremonial reasons, preparation for migration or conflict? The answers could provide crucial insights into the mindset and circumstances of ancient civilizations. The Bosnian pyramid complex, whether ultimately proven to be natural or artificial, represents the type of discovery that forces us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about human history. It reminds us that our knowledge of the past is built on incomplete evidence, and that new discoveries can reshape our understanding in unexpected ways. As research continues at the site, using increasingly sophisticated analytical techniques, we may eventually reach clearer conclusions about its origins and significance. But regardless of the final verdict, the site has already succeeded in raising important questions about the depth and complexity of human history in regions we thought we understood. The broader implications extend beyond any single site or discovery. If human technological capabilities did develop much earlier than currently accepted, it suggests that our species has been experimenting with complex organization, monumental construction, and sophisticated engineering for far longer than we've realized. This longer timeline of human achievement opens up possibilities for understanding how knowledge was developed, preserved, and transmitted across vast periods of time. It also raises questions about cycles of advancement and decline that might characterize human civilization over extended periods. If advanced capabilities existed in prehistoric times, what caused them to be lost or abandoned? How many times might human societies have developed sophisticated technologies only to see them disappear during periods of catastrophe or cultural disruption? These questions become particularly relevant when we consider the growing body of evidence for catastrophic events in human prehistory. Climate changes, volcanic eruptions, and other natural disasters could have disrupted advanced societies while leaving only fragmentary evidence of their achievements. Understanding these patterns might help us better prepare for similar challenges in our own time. The Bosnian pyramid controversy also illustrates the importance of maintaining open minds while demanding rigorous evidence. Scientific progress requires both skepticism toward extraordinary claims and willingness to revise established theories when new evidence warrants it. Finding the right balance between these approaches is crucial for advancing our understanding of human history. Whether the Bosnian structures prove to be ancient pyramids or natural formations, they've already contributed to important discussions about methodology, evidence evaluation, and the interpretation of archaeological data. These discussions ultimately strengthen the field of archaeology by encouraging more careful analysis and more sophisticated approaches to understanding the past. The site continues to attract researchers, tourists, and media attention, ensuring that investigation will continue regardless of current controversies. Over time, accumulating evidence and improved analytical techniques should provide clearer answers about the true nature and significance of these intriguing formations. But even if definitive answers remain elusive, the Bosnian pyramid complex serves as a powerful reminder that human history contains far more mysteries than certainties. Every generation of archaeologists has discovered evidence that previous generations missed or misinterpreted. The process of uncovering and understanding our past is ongoing, and each new discovery has the potential to reshape our understanding in fundamental ways. As we continue to explore these ancient mysteries, we're not just learning about the past. We're developing better tools and methods for understanding how human civilization develops, spreads, and sometimes disappears. This knowledge could prove invaluable as we face our own challenges and uncertainties in an ever-changing world. The stones scattered across the Sahara Desert tell a story that mainstream archaeology has been reluctant to acknowledge. Perfectly circular arrangements of massive blocks aligned with celestial events that wouldn't occur for thousands of years. Some of these stone circles, like those at Nabta Playa in southern Egypt, predate Stonehenge by over 1,000 years and demonstrate astronomical knowledge that supposedly didn't exist when they were built. But Nabta Playa is just one piece of a much larger puzzle that spans the African continent. From the sophisticated megaliths of Senegambia in West Africa to the mysterious ruins of Great Zimbabwe, evidence is mounting that advanced African civilizations were developing complex technologies and organizational systems thousands of years before European contact. The implications are staggering, and they force us to confront uncomfortable truths about how we've understood human development. These discoveries suggest that technological advancement, astronomical knowledge, and monumental construction weren't gifts that spread from a single cradle of civilization. They were capabilities that human societies developed independently across multiple continents, often much earlier than we've been willing to acknowledge. At Nabta Playa, archaeologists have uncovered what may be the world's oldest astronomical observatory. The site consists of stone circles, alignments, and burial mounds that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. The builders tracked not just seasonal changes, but also the precession of the equinoxes, a cycle that takes over 25,000 years to complete. This level of astronomical knowledge requires centuries of careful observation and mathematical calculation. It suggests that the people of Nabta Playa weren't simple nomads following herds across the desert. They were settled communities with specialized knowledge keepers who dedicated their lives to understanding the movements of the heavens. Carbon dating places the earliest construction at Nabta Playa around 7,000 years ago, with evidence of continued use and modification for over 2,000 years. This timeline places the site's development during the African humid period, when the Sahara was green and supported large populations. As the climate changed and the desert expanded, these communities may have been forced to migrate, carrying their astronomical knowledge to other regions. The stone circles themselves demonstrate engineering capabilities that challenge assumptions about Neolithic African societies. Some of the standing stones weigh several tons and would have required coordinated effort to quarry, transport, and erect. The precision of their placement suggests not only advanced planning, but also sophisticated surveying techniques. Most remarkably, the alignments at Nabta Playa appear to map stellar configurations as they appeared thousands of years in the past. The builders weren't just recording current astronomical events. They were encoding historical star positions that could only have been known through long-term observation and record-keeping spanning multiple generations. This temporal depth of knowledge suggests cultural continuity and information preservation systems that we're only beginning to understand. How did these ancient communities maintain accurate astronomical records across centuries? What methods did they use to pass complex mathematical concepts from one generation to the next? How did they coordinate observations across different locations and time periods? Moving west across Africa, the megaliths of Senegambia present another puzzle that doesn't fit standard narratives of African development. These massive stone circles, some containing blocks weighing over 10 tons, were erected between 300 CE and 1600 CE by societies that supposedly lacked advanced engineering capabilities. The Senegambia megaliths aren't random arrangements of stones. They follow specific patterns and alignments that suggest ceremonial or astronomical purposes. Many of the circles are associated with burial sites, indicating their role in complex funerary practices that required significant community investment and specialized knowledge. The precision of the stonework at these sites rivals that found at European megalithic monuments. The builders demonstrated advanced understanding of quarrying, transport, and construction techniques that enabled them to work with massive stones, using tools that have left minimal archaeological traces. But perhaps most significantly, the Senegambian megaliths show evidence of continuous development and refinement over more than 1,000 years. This wasn't a brief flowering of megalithic construction, but a sustained cultural tradition that adapted and evolved while maintaining core principles and techniques. The geographic distribution of these sites suggests extensive trade networks and cultural exchange systems that connected different regions of West Africa. Similar construction techniques and design principles appear across hundreds of miles, indicating either migration of skilled builders or transmission of specialized knowledge through established communication networks. Further east, Great Zimbabwe represents perhaps the most famous example of advanced African architecture that European colonizers initially refused to attribute to indigenous peoples. The massive stone walls, sophisticated drainage systems, and evidence of international trade challenge racist assumptions about African capabilities and forced eventual recognition of indigenous achievement. But Great Zimbabwe wasn't unique. Similar stone cities and fortifications appear throughout eastern and southern Africa, many predating European contact by centuries. These settlements demonstrate urban planning, specialized craftsmanship, and political organization that rival contemporary civilizations in other parts of the world. The construction techniques used at these sites show remarkable sophistication. The famous curved walls of Great Zimbabwe were built without mortar, using carefully shaped stones, fitted together with precision that has allowed the structures to survive for over 800 years. This level of masonry skill requires extensive training and represents knowledge traditions that must have developed over long periods. Archaeological evidence from these sites also reveals extensive trade networks that connected African communities with distant civilizations. Goods from China, India, and the Middle East have been found alongside local products, indicating that these weren't isolated settlements, but participants in global economic systems. The metallurgical capabilities evident at African sites also challenge assumptions about technological development. Ironworking appears to have developed independently in Africa around 1000 BCE, possibly earlier than in some other regions. African smiths developed sophisticated techniques for producing high-quality steel and working with complex alloys. The knot culture of Nigeria, dating from around 1000 BCE to 300 CE, produced iron tools and terracotta sculptures that demonstrate remarkable artistic and technical skill. The level of craftsmanship evident in Nok artifacts suggests established traditions of specialized production and artistic expression that must have required significant social support and cultural investment. Similar evidence of advanced metallurgy appears across the continent. The Kingdom of Kush, in present-day Sudan, developed iron-working techniques that enabled them to compete militarily with Egypt and Rome. Their production centers show evidence of sophisticated furnace designs and quality control methods that produce superior weapons and tools. These discoveries paint a picture of African technological and cultural development that contradicts colonial-era narratives of primitive societies awaiting outside intervention. Instead, they reveal a continent where multiple civilizations developed advanced capabilities independently, often pioneering techniques that later appeared elsewhere. The preservation of this evidence also demonstrates the resilience of African communities in maintaining their cultural achievements despite centuries of external pressure. Many sites continued to function and develop even during periods of political upheaval and foreign influence, suggesting deep-rooted traditions that adapted to changing circumstances while maintaining core identities. Understanding these achievements requires recognizing that technological development doesn't follow a single path or timeline. Different societies develop different solutions to similar challenges, and innovation can emerge independently in multiple locations. The African evidence demonstrates this principle clearly, showing how human creativity and problem-solving ability have manifested in diverse ways across different environments and time periods. The astronomical knowledge preserved at sites like Nabta Playa also raises intriguing questions about information networks that might have connected ancient African communities with other civilizations. The precision of their celestial observations and the mathematical sophistication of their calculations suggest access to knowledge that might have been shared across vast distances. Recent research into ancient trade routes and cultural exchange networks has revealed connections that were previously unrecognized. African communities weren't isolated from global developments, but were active participants in information and technology transfer that spanned continents. This interconnectedness helps explain similarities in construction techniques, astronomical knowledge, and artistic traditions that appear across different regions and time periods. Rather than independent invention, many innovations might have resulted from cultural exchange and knowledge sharing through established networks of communication and trade. The implications extend beyond African history to broader questions about how human knowledge develops and spreads. If ancient communities were more connected than we've assumed, it suggests that technological and scientific advancement might have been more collaborative and widespread than traditional narratives acknowledge. This perspective also highlights the importance of preserving and studying archaeological sites that have been overlooked or undervalued due to cultural biases. Many significant discoveries in Africa and other regions have received less attention than similar finds in Europe or the Middle East, despite their equal or greater importance for understanding human development. As research techniques improve and more resources are devoted to African archaeology, we're likely to discover even more evidence of advanced ancient achievements. Each new finding adds to our understanding of human capability and creativity, while challenging assumptions about how and where innovation develops. The story of ancient Africa isn't just about correcting historical misconceptions. It's about recognizing the full scope of human achievement and understanding how different societies have contributed to our collective knowledge and technological development. This broader perspective enriches our understanding of human history, while providing valuable insights for contemporary challenges. But the most shocking discovery may be hidden beneath the jungles of Cambodia, where satellite imaging has revealed a lost metropolis larger than modern-day Los Angeles, complete with sophisticated hydraulic systems that could have supported over 1 million people. This isn't just another ancient city, it's evidence of engineering capabilities that rival anything we've achieved today, built by a civilization that supposedly didn't possess the knowledge to create such marvels. The discovery of Angkor's true extent has rewritten our understanding of medieval urban planning. What archaeologists initially thought was a collection of temples scattered through the jungle has revealed itself to be the world's most extensive pre-industrial settlement. The hydraulic network alone represents an engineering feat that modern cities struggle to match. Using advanced LiDAR technology, researchers have mapped over 1,000 square kilometers of urban landscape hidden beneath dense forest canopy. The system includes massive reservoirs called berais, some holding more water than many modern municipal systems. These weren't simple storage ponds, but sophisticated water management networks that controlled flooding, provided irrigation, and maintained year-round water supplies for enormous populations. The precision of this hydraulic engineering demonstrates mathematical and engineering knowledge that challenges our assumptions about medieval capabilities. The gradient calculations required to move water across such distances, the structural engineering needed to build massive earthen dams, and the urban planning necessary to integrate water systems with residential and ceremonial areas all point to advanced technical knowledge. But Angkor's water management system wasn't just functional, it was sacred. The builders integrated astronomical alignments and religious symbolism into their engineering, creating a landscape that served both practical and spiritual purposes. The main temple of Angkor Wat itself sits at the center of a vast mandala representing the Hindu cosmos, with water features that mirror celestial geography. This integration of engineering and spirituality appears throughout the complex. Causeway alignments correspond to celestial events, water levels reflect seasonal astronomical changes, and the entire urban layout encodes cosmological principles that required sophisticated understanding of both engineering and astronomy. The scale of construction at Angkor also reveals organizational capabilities that seem impossible for the supposed technological level of the time. Moving the millions of cubic meters of earth required to build the reservoirs and canals would have required coordinating tens of thousands of workers over decades. The precision of the work suggests not just massive labor forces, but skilled engineers and project managers overseeing every aspect of construction. Carbon dating and archaeological evidence indicate that this massive urban development occurred between the 9th and 15th centuries CE, a period when Europe was struggling with basic sanitation and urban planning. While European cities were dealing with disease outbreaks caused by poor water management, Angkor's residents enjoyed sophisticated hydraulic systems that provided clean water, waste management, and flood control. The comparison becomes even more striking when we consider that Angkor's peak population may have exceeded 1 million people, making it one of the world's largest cities at the time. This population density was supported entirely by the hydraulic engineering that transformed a flood-prone landscape into a thriving urban environment. Recent research has also revealed that Angkor's decline wasn't due to conquest or political upheaval, but to environmental challenges that overwhelmed even their sophisticated water management systems. Extended droughts followed by catastrophic flooding stressed the hydraulic network beyond its capacity, leading to gradual abandonment of the urban core. This environmental vulnerability highlights both the achievements and limitations of ancient engineering. The builders of Angkor created systems that functioned brilliantly under normal conditions, but couldn't adapt to extreme climate variations. Their engineering was sophisticated, but not flexible enough to handle unprecedented environmental stress. The lessons from Angkor's rise and fall have profound implications for modern urban planning. The integration of water management with urban development, the importance of environmental resilience, and the need for adaptive infrastructure are all challenges that contemporary cities continue to face. But Angkor isn't the only example of sophisticated urban planning that predates European achievements. Across the Americas, ancient cities demonstrate engineering capabilities that challenge our understanding of pre-Columbian technological development. At Teotihuacan in Mexico, a city that flourished between 100 and 700 CE, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of urban planning that rivals modern cities. The entire settlement was laid out on a precise grid system aligned with astronomical events, with sophisticated drainage systems, apartment complexes, and public spaces that could accommodate over 100,000 residents. The Avenue of the Dead, Teotihuacan's main thoroughfare, demonstrates surveying precision that would be impressive even by contemporary standards. The 40-meter wide avenue runs perfectly straight for over 2 kilometers, maintaining consistent width and alignment despite changes in terrain. This level of surveying accuracy requires mathematical knowledge and engineering tools that weren't supposed to exist in pre-Columbian America. The city's apartment compounds show evidence of advanced construction techniques, including multi-story buildings, interior courtyards, and sophisticated ventilation systems. These weren't simple residential structures, but carefully planned living spaces designed for comfort and functionality in ways that anticipate modern architectural principles. Teotihuacan's water management system rivals that of contemporary Roman cities. Underground drainage channels, settling ponds, and distribution networks provided clean water throughout the urban area while managing waste and storm runoff. The engineering required to maintain water pressure and flow across the city's elevation changes demonstrates hydraulic knowledge that European cities wouldn't match for centuries. The industrial areas of Teotihuacan reveal specialized production facilities that supported extensive trade networks. Obsidian workshops produced tools and weapons that were traded across Mesoamerica, while ceramic production centers created pottery that has been found thousands of miles from the city. This level of industrial organization requires sophisticated logistics and quality control systems. Moving south to Peru, the city of Caral represents even earlier evidence of advanced urban planning. Dating to around 2600 BCE, Caral is one of the oldest cities in the Americas and demonstrates sophisticated engineering that predates similar developments in other parts of the world. The city's layout shows evidence of earthquake-resistant construction techniques that protected the settlement in one of the world's most seismically active regions. Buildings were constructed with flexible foundations and shock-absorbing materials that allowed structures to survive major earthquakes that would have destroyed conventional construction. Carroll's irrigation systems transformed desert landscape into productive agricultural areas that supported urban populations. The engineering required to bring water from distant sources, distribute it efficiently, and maintain the systems over centuries demonstrates hydraulic knowledge that rivals contemporary civilizations in other parts of the world. The acoustic properties of Carral's ceremonial centers show understanding of sound engineering that wasn't supposed to exist in ancient Peru, amphitheater designs that amplify and direct sound, architectural features that create specific acoustic effects, and integration of music and architecture all point to sophisticated knowledge of physics and engineering principles. These discoveries across different continents and time periods reveal a pattern of human achievement that doesn't fit the linear progression from primitive to advanced that we've been taught to expect. Instead, we see evidence of sophisticated capabilities emerging independently in different locations, often much earlier than conventional timelines suggest. The consistency of certain engineering principles across these diverse sites raises intriguing questions about knowledge transmission and cultural exchange. How did societies separated by thousands of miles and hundreds of years develop similar solutions to urban planning challenges? Were there communication networks that we haven't recognized? Or does this represent independent development of similar innovations by human communities facing comparable challenges? The astronomical alignments that appear at sites worldwide suggest shared understanding of celestial mechanics that required extensive observation and mathematical calculation. The precision of these alignments indicates not just casual skywatching, but systematic astronomical research that must have been conducted over many generations. This astronomical knowledge often appears integrated with practical engineering in ways that suggest advanced understanding of both scientific and technical principles. Water management systems aligned with seasonal changes, architectural orientations that optimize solar heating and cooling, and urban layouts that incorporate celestial symbolism all demonstrate sophisticated integration of multiple knowledge systems. The implications for our understanding of human development are profound. If ancient societies possessed such advanced capabilities, what other assumptions about technological and social progress might need revision? How much knowledge has been lost over the centuries? And how many times might human communities have rediscovered similar principles? These questions become particularly relevant when we consider evidence of deliberate abandonment and concealment at many ancient sites. The pattern of burial and preservation that we see at places like Göbekli Tepe, the Bosnian pyramids, and other locations suggests that ancient peoples were aware of threats that might destroy their achievements and took extraordinary measures to protect their knowledge for future generations. The urban planning achievements we've examined demonstrate that our ancestors weren't struggling to survive in a harsh world with primitive tools and limited knowledge. They were sophisticated problem solvers who developed advanced technologies, organized complex societies, and created urban environments that in many ways surpassed contemporary achievements. Understanding these accomplishments requires recognizing that human innovation and creativity have ancient roots that extend far deeper into the past than we've acknowledged. The evidence suggests that technological development isn't a recent phenomenon, but a fundamental characteristic of human societies that has manifested in diverse ways across different environments and time periods. As we continue to discover more evidence of ancient achievements, we're not just learning about the past, we're gaining insights into human potential and the cyclical nature of technological and social development. These insights might prove crucial as we face our own challenges and work to build sustainable urban environments for future generations. The sophisticated engineering, urban planning, and astronomical knowledge demonstrated by ancient civilizations remind us that human capability and ingenuity have been constants throughout our history. What varies is our recognition and appreciation of these achievements, and our willingness to learn from the successes and failures of those who came before us. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of these discoveries is what they suggest about knowledge preservation and transmission across vast periods of time. How did ancient communities maintain sophisticated understanding across generations? What methods did they use to encode and protect essential knowledge? And what can we learn from their strategies for preserving human achievement against the forces that constantly threaten to erase it? The answers to these questions might be hidden in the very monuments and sites we've been examining, encoded in stone alignments, preserved in construction techniques, and embedded in the careful planning that went into creating structures designed to survive across millennia. Understanding these preservation strategies could prove as valuable as recognizing the achievements themselves. Because ultimately, the greatest mystery isn't just what ancient peoples accomplished, but how they ensured that their knowledge would survive to challenge and inspire future generations. In their careful encoding of astronomical data, their precise construction techniques, and their systematic urban planning, they left us not just monuments to their capabilities, but blueprints for understanding human potential that we're only beginning to decipher. In the dense rainforests of the Amazon, local tribes speak of ruins so ancient they predate their oldest legends. Stone circles arranged with mathematical precision that shouldn't exist. Underground chambers carved from solid rock, using techniques we can't replicate today. And beneath the jungle canopy, satellite imaging has revealed geometric patterns stretching for miles, hidden structures that suggest a civilization far more advanced than anything we found in the archaeological record. But these aren't isolated discoveries. From the mountains of Peru to the deserts of Australia, from the forests of Europe to the plains of North America, evidence is emerging of a global phenomenon that mainstream archaeology has been reluctant to acknowledge. Ancient sites that demonstrate knowledge of astronomy, engineering, and mathematics that wouldn't be rediscovered by our civilization for thousands of years. The most shocking part isn't just their age or sophistication, it's the pattern they reveal. A worldwide network of knowledge that suggests our prehistoric ancestors possessed capabilities that rival our own. Capabilities that were somehow lost, buried, or deliberately hidden from history. Tonight, we're going to examine evidence that challenges everything we think we know about human development. Not through speculation or theory, but through hard archaeological data that's been carbon dated, measured, and verified by respected institutions. Evidence that suggests the timeline of human achievement extends far deeper into the past than we've been willing to admit. The ruins scattered across Easter Island tell a story that goes far beyond the famous stoneheads that tourists come to see. Beneath the Moai, archaeologists have discovered bodies extending deep underground, carved with intricate symbols and astronomical markers that demonstrate knowledge of celestial mechanics spanning thousands of years. These aren't just statues. They're monuments encoding scientific data that require generations of careful observation to compile. The precision of Easter Island's astronomical alignments rivals modern observatories. The builders tracked not just seasonal changes, but complex celestial cycles that take centuries to complete. They encoded this information in stone using mathematical relationships that wouldn't be understood by European science until the Renaissance. But what makes Easter Island truly mysterious isn't just what's there. It's what happened to the civilization that created it. The island shows clear evidence of sudden abandonment, with construction projects left unfinished and sophisticated engineering systems falling into disuse. It's as if an advanced society simply vanished, leaving behind only fragments of their greatest achievements. This pattern of sudden abandonment appears at ancient sites worldwide. Construction halted mid-project. Sophisticated systems left to decay. Knowledge that took generations to develop simply disappeared, as if entire civilizations chose to walk away from their greatest accomplishments. In the highlands of Bolivia, the ruins of Tiwanaku showcase engineering that modern construction crews would struggle to replicate. Stone blocks weighing over 100 tons, fitted together with tolerances measured in millimeters. Drainage systems that still function after more than 1,000 years. And architectural alignments that track astronomical events with precision that requires advanced mathematical calculations. The Akapana Pyramid at Tiwanaku demonstrates hydraulic engineering that transforms the structure into a sophisticated water processing facility. Channels carved into the stone create specific flow patterns that serve both functional and ceremonial purposes. The acoustic properties of these water features generate sounds that resonate through the structure in ways that suggest deliberate acoustic engineering. But Tiwanaku's builders also left behind evidence of sudden departure. Valuable artifacts abandoned in place, construction materials prepared but never used. sophisticated workshops left as if their occupants simply walked away without warning. The site shows no evidence of conquest or gradual decline. Instead, it appears that a thriving civilization chose to abandon their achievements and disappear into history. The same mysterious abandonment patterns appear at sites across the Americas. At Cahokia in present-day Illinois, North America's largest prehistoric city was suddenly deserted at the height of its power. The settlement had supported over 20,000 people with sophisticated urban planning, monumental architecture, and extensive trade networks reaching across the continent. Archaeological evidence shows that Cahokia's abandonment was deliberate and organized. Valuable items were carefully removed, important structures were ritually closed, and the population departed in an orderly fashion. This wasn't a city fleeing disaster or conquest. It was a community making a conscious decision to abandon their urban center and return to smaller, dispersed settlements. The engineering achievements at Cahokia rival those of contemporary civilizations in other parts of the world. The central plaza covers more area than 35 football fields and was leveled with precision that required sophisticated surveying techniques. The Grand Plaza was constructed by moving over 15 million cubic feet of earth, creating a perfectly flat surface that has remained stable for over 800 years. Cahokia's astronomical observatory, known as the American Woodhenge, demonstrates knowledge of celestial mechanics that enabled precise tracking of solar and lunar cycles. The circle of wooden posts was aligned to mark solstices, equinoxes, and other astronomical events with accuracy that rivals modern instruments. Yet despite these achievements, the entire city was abandoned by 1400 CE, centuries before European contact. The inhabitants left behind sophisticated infrastructure, monumental architecture, and urban systems that had taken generations to develop. They chose to return to smaller communities scattered across the landscape, deliberately abandoning the urban experiment their ancestors had created. This pattern of advanced achievement, followed by deliberate abandonment, appears to be a recurring theme in human history. It suggests that our ancestors weren't simply progressing from primitive to advanced in a straight line. Instead, they were experimenting with different forms of social organization, sometimes choosing to abandon sophisticated systems in favor of alternative approaches to community life. The implications are profound. If advanced civilizations repeatedly chose to abandon their achievements, how much knowledge has been lost over the centuries? How many times have human communities developed sophisticated technologies only to deliberately set them aside? And what factors influence these decisions to abandon urban centers and complex systems? The answers might lie in understanding the relationship between human societies and environmental challenges. Many of these abandoned sites show evidence of climate stress, resource depletion, or other environmental factors that might have influenced decisions to adopt different survival strategies. At Mesa Verde in Colorado, the cliff dwellings of the ancestral Puebloans demonstrate architectural and engineering skills that enabled communities to thrive in challenging environments for over 700 years. The buildings are perfectly integrated with natural rock formations, using passive solar design principles that maintain comfortable temperatures year-round without external heating or cooling systems. The construction techniques at Mesa Verde show sophisticated understanding of materials science and structural engineering. The builders used precisely mixed mortar that has proven more durable than many modern concrete formulations. They integrated buildings with natural rock formations in ways that provide both structural support and protection from weather extremes. The water management systems at Mesa Verde are equally impressive. The inhabitants carved channels and built reservoirs that collected and stored rainfall with efficiency that enabled large populations to thrive in a semi-arid environment. Their agricultural terraces transformed steep terrain into productive farmland while preventing erosion and maintaining soil quality. Yet Mesa Verde was also abandoned, not gradually, But suddenly, around 1300 CE, the inhabitants left behind well-constructed buildings, sophisticated infrastructure, and agricultural systems that were still productive. Archaeological evidence suggests the departure was planned and organized, with valuable items removed and important structures sealed or protected. The abandonment of Mesa Verde coincided with a period of severe drought that lasted for decades. But rather than adapting their existing systems to deal with water scarcity, the inhabitants chose to relocate to areas with more reliable water sources. This decision required abandoning generations of architectural and agricultural investment in favor of starting over in new locations. Similar patterns appear throughout the prehistoric Southwest. Advanced communities that had developed sophisticated technologies for desert survival repeatedly chose to abandon their achievements when environmental conditions changed. Rather than adapting existing systems, they opted for mobility and flexibility over permanent infrastructure. These decisions reveal a different relationship with technology and place than modern societies typically maintain. For these ancient communities, technological achievements weren't permanent investments to be preserved at all costs. They were tools to be used when appropriate and abandoned when circumstances changed. This adaptive approach to technology might have enabled these societies to survive environmental challenges that would devastate communities more committed to maintaining fixed infrastructure. By remaining willing to abandon sophisticated systems when necessary, they maintained the flexibility to respond to changing conditions. The archaeological record suggests that this pattern of development and abandonment might have been a successful long-term survival strategy. While individual sites were abandoned, the knowledge and skills developed at those locations were preserved and applied in new settings when conditions became favorable again. Understanding these patterns requires recognizing that technological development doesn't always follow a linear progression toward greater complexity. Human societies have repeatedly experimented with different approaches to organizing communities, managing resources, and adapting to environmental challenges. Some of these experiments resulted in sophisticated urban centers and monumental architecture. Others emphasize mobility, flexibility, and smaller-scale social organization. Both approaches had advantages and disadvantages depending on environmental and social conditions. The evidence suggests that our ancestors were far more sophisticated in their decision-making processes than we often recognize. They weren't simply struggling to survive with primitive tools and limited knowledge. They were making strategic choices about how to organize their societies based on careful evaluation of costs, benefits, and long-term sustainability. This perspective changes how we understand both the achievements and abandonments we see in the archaeological record. Rather than viewing abandoned sites as evidence of failure or collapse, we might see them as examples of successful adaptation to changing circumstances. The knowledge preserved in these abandoned sites continues to offer valuable insights for contemporary challenges. The passive solar design principles used at Mesa Verde, the water management techniques developed at Cahokia, and the sustainable agriculture practices employed throughout the prehistoric Americas all have applications for modern sustainability challenges. But perhaps most importantly, the pattern of deliberate abandonment reminds us that technological achievement isn't always the ultimate goal of human societies. Sometimes, the wisdom lies in knowing when to let go of sophisticated systems in favor of approaches that better serve long-term survival and community well-being. As we face our own environmental and social challenges, the example of societies that successfully navigated between complexity and simplicity, permanence and adaptability, might offer crucial guidance for creating resilient communities that can thrive across changing conditions. The story emerging from these archaeological discoveries isn't just about lost civilizations or forgotten technologies. It's about human adaptability, strategic thinking, and the willingness to make difficult decisions in service of long-term survival. These are lessons that remain as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. In the remote valleys of the Andes, where oxygen is thin and the landscape seems hostile to human habitation. The ruins of Ollantaytambo stand as testament to engineering capabilities that defy explanation. This isn't just another Inca site with impressive stonework. It's a fortress city built with such precision that modern engineers struggle to understand how it was accomplished. The massive granite blocks that form Ollantaytambo's walls were quarried from a site 6 miles away, across a river valley and up a steep mountain face. Each block weighs between 50 and 100 tons, yet they were transported across terrain that would challenge modern, heavy lifting equipment. The logistics alone require organizational capabilities and engineering knowledge that wasn't supposed to exist in pre-Columbian South America. But the real mystery lies in the precision of the construction. The blocks are fitted together with tolerances measured in fractions of inches, creating joints so tight that water can't penetrate, even during the region's intense rainy seasons. This level of precision requires not just skilled craftsmanship, but advanced understanding of structural engineering, mathematics, and material science. The builders of Ollantaytambo also demonstrated sophisticated knowledge of seismic engineering. The Andes are one of the world's most earthquake-prone regions, yet these ancient structures have survived centuries of seismic activity, while more recent constructions have crumbled. The secret lies in construction techniques that allow the massive stones to move slightly during earthquakes, without losing their structural integrity. Recent analysis has revealed that the builders used a complex system of precisely angled cuts and interlocking joints that distribute seismic forces throughout the structure. This approach to earthquake-resistant construction anticipates principles that weren't formally recognized by modern engineering until the 20th century. The site also showcases hydraulic engineering that transforms the mountainous terrain into a sophisticated water management system. Channels carved into solid rock direct water flow with precision that prevents erosion while providing irrigation for agricultural terraces that still function today. The integration of water management with structural engineering creates a unified system that serves both practical and defensive purposes. But Ollantaytambo presents the same mysterious pattern we've seen at other ancient sites. Construction appears to have been halted suddenly, with some of the most impressive stonework left unfinished. Massive blocks lie abandoned in various stages of preparation, as if the builders simply stopped work and never returned. The unfinished sections provide valuable insights into construction techniques that would otherwise remain mysterious. Tool marks on partially completed stones show evidence of technologies that seem impossibly advanced for the supposed time period. Precision drilling, complex three-dimensional shaping, and surface finishing techniques that modern stonemasons find difficult to replicate using contemporary tools. These abandoned works raise profound questions about the circumstances that led to construction halting at the height of the builders' capabilities. Were they interrupted by natural disasters, political upheaval, or did they, like the inhabitants of other advanced ancient sites, make a deliberate decision to abandon their achievements? Moving north to Peru's coast, the Nazca lines present another puzzle that challenges our understanding of ancient capabilities. These massive ground drawings, some stretching for miles across the desert, demonstrate geometric precision and artistic vision that required sophisticated planning and surveying techniques. The lines aren't random drawings, but carefully designed geometric patterns that maintain perfect proportions across vast distances. Creating such precise figures requires mathematical knowledge, surveying tools, and organizational systems that seem far beyond what we associate with pre-Columbian Peru. Recent research has revealed that the Nazca lines incorporate astronomical alignments that track celestial events across multiple cycles. Some lines point to specific stars or constellations as they appeared thousands of years ago, suggesting that the builders possessed detailed knowledge of stellar movements spanning centuries of observation. The scale of the Nazca lines also demonstrates organizational capabilities that required coordinating hundreds of workers across extended time periods. The consistency of design and execution across the entire site indicates central planning and quality control systems that ensured accuracy over decades or centuries of construction. But like other ancient sites, Nazca shows evidence of sudden abandonment. The civilization that created these remarkable ground drawings simply disappeared from the archaeological record, leaving behind their greatest achievements with no explanation for their departure. The mystery deepens when we consider that many of the lines were deliberately covered with stones or earth after completion, as if their creators wanted to hide their work from future viewers. This pattern of creation followed by concealment appears at ancient sites worldwide, suggesting a deliberate strategy for preserving knowledge while protecting it from potential destruction. The preservation techniques used at these sites demonstrate forward thinking that anticipates threats centuries or millennia in the future. The builders weren't just creating monuments for their own time, but encoding information for future civilizations to discover and decode. This long-term perspective on knowledge preservation suggests that ancient peoples understood something about the cyclical nature of human civilization that we're only beginning to recognize. They knew that achievements could be lost, civilizations could fall, and knowledge could disappear unless extraordinary measures were taken to protect it. The encoding methods used at these sites show remarkable sophistication. Astronomical data embedded in architectural alignments, mathematical relationships encoded in structural proportions, historical information preserved in artistic symbols and geometric patterns. These weren't just decorative elements, but information storage systems designed to survive across vast periods of time. Understanding these preservation strategies requires recognizing that ancient peoples possessed not just advanced technical knowledge, but also deep insight into the forces that threaten human achievement. They understood that natural disasters, social upheavals, and the simple passage of time could erase centuries of accumulated knowledge unless it was protected through multiple redundant systems. The sites we've examined represent different approaches to this preservation challenge. Some relied on massive stone construction designed to survive physical destruction. Others used astronomical alignments that would remain accurate across millennia. Still others employed symbolic systems that could be decoded by future civilizations with sufficient knowledge. This diversity of preservation strategies suggests coordinated efforts to ensure that essential knowledge would survive regardless of what specific threats materialized. It's as if ancient civilizations understood that they were part of recurring cycles of development and decline, and took responsibility for preserving achievements for future generations. The implications for our understanding of human history are staggering. If ancient peoples possessed such sophisticated understanding of civilization's vulnerabilities, it suggests they had experienced or witnessed the collapse of previous advanced societies. Their preservation efforts might represent lessons learned from earlier cycles of achievement and loss. This cyclical view of human development doesn't diminish ancient achievements, but actually makes them more remarkable. It suggests that our ancestors weren't just creating monuments for their own glory, but taking on the responsibility of preserving human knowledge across the dark periods that they knew would inevitably come. The evidence we've examined points to capabilities that extend far deeper into human history than conventional timelines acknowledge. Advanced engineering, sophisticated mathematics, precise astronomy, and complex social organization appear to be recurring themes rather than recent innovations. But perhaps most importantly, these discoveries reveal that human societies have repeatedly faced the challenge of preserving knowledge across periods of catastrophic change. The strategies they developed, the information they chose to preserve, and the methods they used to encode essential knowledge all offer valuable lessons for our own time. As we continue to uncover more evidence of ancient achievements, we're not just learning about the past, we're discovering a deeper understanding of human potential and the cyclical patterns that have shaped civilization throughout history. This knowledge might prove crucial as we face our own challenges and work to ensure that current achievements survive for future generations to build upon. The story emerging from archaeological discoveries around the world suggests that we are not the first advanced civilization this planet has seen. We are part of a continuing cycle of human achievement, loss, and rediscovery that has repeated itself multiple times throughout history. Understanding this cycle and learning from those who came before us might be the key to breaking the pattern and creating lasting achievements that truly stand the test of time. The evidence hidden beneath our feet suggests we may not be the first advanced civilization to call this planet home. While we pride ourselves on being the pinnacle of human achievement, archaeological discoveries are revealing something that challenges everything we thought we knew about our own history. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes speak of stone structures so ancient they predate their oldest oral traditions. Geometric patterns carved into bedrock using techniques that modern equipment struggles to replicate. Underground chambers that extend for miles beneath the jungle floor, their walls bearing astronomical calculations that track celestial movements across thousands of years. But the Amazon isn't unique. From the high-altitude plateaus of Bolivia to the remote islands of the Pacific, evidence is mounting that suggests advanced human societies existed far earlier than our textbooks acknowledge. Societies that possessed knowledge of engineering, mathematics, and astronomy that rivals our own capabilities. The most unsettling part isn't just their sophistication, it's the pattern their ruins reveal. A global network of knowledge that appears to have been deliberately hidden or abandoned, as if these ancient peoples knew something catastrophic was coming and took extraordinary measures to preserve their achievements for future civilizations to discover. What we're looking at isn't a few isolated anomalies that don't fit our historical timeline. We're seeing evidence of recurring cycles of human advancement and decline that may have repeated themselves multiple times throughout prehistory. Each cycle building upon the knowledge of previous civilizations, reaching remarkable heights of achievement, then mysteriously vanishing from the archaeological record. The precision stonework at Sacsayhuaman in Peru showcases construction techniques that modern engineers admit they would struggle to replicate. Massive polygonal blocks weighing over 100 tons each, fitted together with tolerances measured in millimeters, creating earthquake-resistant structures that have survived for centuries, while more recent buildings crumble around them. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, scattered stone blocks demonstrate machining precision that seems impossible for any pre-industrial civilization. Complex three-dimensional joints that require advanced mathematical calculations to design. Perfectly round drill holes with consistent diameters that extend through the hardest stone materials. Surface finishes polished to mirror-like perfection using techniques we can't identify. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a Roman-era shipwreck, represents technology so advanced that nothing comparable appears in the historical record for another 1,000 years. This bronze device could calculate astronomical positions, predict eclipses, and track planetary movements with accuracy that wouldn't be matched until the Renaissance. Yet it was created by a civilization we consider ancient and technologically limited. Recent analysis has revealed that the mechanism incorporates gear ratios and mechanical principles that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of mathematics and engineering. The precision of its manufacture requires tools and techniques that supposedly didn't exist when it was created. It's as if someone dropped a modern computer into the ancient world, then watched history forget how to build such devices. The pattern repeats across every continent. In Turkey, the underground cities of Cappadocia extend deep into solid rock, creating vast subterranean complexes that could shelter thousands of people for extended periods. These weren't simple caves, but carefully engineered survival systems with sophisticated ventilation, water management, and defensive features. The largest of these underground cities, Derinkuyu, descends 11 levels into the earth and could accommodate up to 20,000 people, along with their livestock and food supplies. The engineering required to excavate such a complex while maintaining structural integrity demonstrates knowledge of geology, architecture, and urban planning that seems remarkably advanced for its supposed time period. But what makes these underground cities truly mysterious is their apparent purpose. They weren't built for comfort or convenience, but for survival during extended periods of surface danger. The defensive features, the sealed entrances, and the self-contained nature of these complexes suggest their builders were preparing for threats that could make the surface world uninhabitable for months or years at a time. The ventilation systems alone represent engineering marvels that ensured fresh air circulation throughout the deepest levels. Carefully calculated air shafts, pressure differentials, and circulation patterns that maintain breathable atmospheres, even in the lowest chambers. Modern HVAC engineers study these ancient systems to understand principles that weren't supposed to be discovered until the industrial age. Similar underground complexes appear around the world, often in regions with histories of volcanic activity, seismic instability, or other natural hazards. From the rock-cut churches of Lalibela in Ethiopia to the extensive tunnel networks beneath European cities, evidence suggests that ancient peoples were acutely aware of catastrophic risks and took extraordinary measures to prepare for them. This awareness might have come from direct experience with previous disasters, or from preserved knowledge of earlier catastrophes passed down through oral traditions. The consistency of survival strategies across different cultures and time periods suggests shared understanding of threats that could devastate surface civilizations. Archaeological evidence from various sites shows signs of sudden abandonment, followed by attempts at preservation. Valuable artifacts carefully buried, important structures sealed, and knowledge encoded in durable materials like stone. These patterns suggest that ancient civilizations faced recurring cycles of growth, catastrophe, and recovery. The geological record supports the possibility of catastrophic events that could have disrupted advanced societies repeatedly throughout human history. The Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,800 years ago, saw Earth's climate shift dramatically in what geologists describe as an incredibly short time span. Temperatures plummeted, ice sheets reformed, and sea levels fluctuated wildly. Any coastal civilizations existing during this period would have faced unprecedented challenges. Cities would have been submerged, populations displaced, and knowledge centers destroyed. The survivors would have been forced to start over, carrying only fragments of their former achievements into an uncertain future. But the evidence suggests something even more intriguing. Some ancient sites show signs of having been deliberately preserved or protected before abandonment. At Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the careful burial process suggests the builders knew something was coming. They took extraordinary measures to ensure their monument would survive, even if their civilization didn't. This pattern of intentional preservation appears at sites around the world. Underground chambers sealed with precision, monuments buried under tons of protective earth, artifacts carefully hidden in locations designed to survive catastrophic events. It's almost as if ancient builders were creating time capsules, preserving knowledge and achievements for future generations to discover. The technology required for such preservation efforts would have been considerable. Moving thousands of tons of earth and stone requires organization, planning, and engineering capabilities that go far beyond what we associate with prehistoric societies. Yet, the evidence is undeniable. Someone with significant resources and advanced knowledge made deliberate decisions to protect these sites from destruction. The implications are staggering. If human civilization has experienced multiple cycles of development and catastrophic interruption, our current understanding of technological and social progress might be fundamentally incomplete. We might be rediscovering capabilities that were known, lost, and rediscovered multiple times throughout human history. This cyclical view of civilization doesn't diminish human achievement. Instead, it suggests that human ingenuity and resilience are even more remarkable than we've realized. Our ancestors didn't just survive natural disasters. They developed sophisticated methods for preserving knowledge and rebuilding after catastrophic losses. The stone monuments, underground cities, and precisely engineered structures we've examined might represent humanity's repeated attempts to create something permanent in an impermanent world. Each generation built upon the knowledge of their predecessors, while adding their own innovations and adaptations to changing circumstances. Understanding how previous civilizations faced these challenges, what knowledge they preserved, and how they adapted to catastrophic change might provide crucial insights for our own future. The engineering techniques that enabled ancient builders to create earthquake-resistant structures, the organizational methods that allowed massive construction projects, and the preservation strategies that protected knowledge through dark ages could all have practical applications today. But the most profound implication might be that we're not just studying ancient history. We might be examining a pattern that continues to shape human civilization today. The same forces that challenged our ancestors, climate change, geological instability, and resource scarcity, continue to influence our world. The evidence suggests that understanding these cycles isn't just academic curiosity. It might be essential for our survival. The evidence we've uncovered points to a disturbing conclusion. We are not the first. Scattered across our planet lie the remnants of civilizations that achieved technological mastery we can barely comprehend today, only to vanish without explanation, leaving behind monuments that mock our assumptions about human progress. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. The pattern of abandonment isn't random. It's systematic, deliberate. As if these advanced societies knew something was coming and made the conscious decision to erase themselves from history, burying their greatest achievements beneath tons of earth and stone. In the remote highlands of the Himalayas, where the air is thin and the landscape forbidding, local legends speak of structures that shouldn't exist. Massive stone platforms built with such precision that modern laser-guided equipment couldn't improve upon their accuracy. These aren't crude arrangements of rocks shaped by primitive peoples. They're architectural marvels that demonstrate mastery of engineering principles we thought were discovered only centuries ago. The stones themselves tell a story of capabilities that challenge everything we understand about ancient technology. Some blocks weigh over 200 tons, yet they've been lifted and positioned with the kind of precision we associate with computer-controlled machinery. The joints between stones are so tight that you couldn't slide a credit card between them. This level of accuracy requires not just advanced tools, but sophisticated understanding of materials, science, structural engineering, and mathematical principles. What makes these sites even more mysterious is their apparent age. Dating techniques suggest these structures were built during periods when mainstream archaeology insists humans were still struggling with basic metalworking. Yet the evidence of advanced technology is undeniable. Tool marks that appear machine-made, surface finishes that rival modern manufacturing standards, construction techniques that seem to anticipate engineering principles that wouldn't be formally recognized for thousands of years. But the Himalayas aren't unique. Similar evidence appears on every continent, often in the most remote and inaccessible locations. It's as if whoever built these monuments deliberately chose sites where they would be protected from casual discovery, hidden away until future civilizations developed the technology to reach them and the knowledge to appreciate what they were seeing. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal elders speak of stone arrangements that mark sacred sites older than their oldest Dreamtime stories. When archaeologists finally gained access to these locations, they discovered megalithic structures that demonstrate astronomical knowledge spanning tens of thousands of years. Stone circles aligned with stellar positions as they appeared in the deep past. Arrangements that track celestial cycles so complex they require supercomputers to calculate today. The precision of these astronomical alignments is staggering. The builders weren't just marking seasonal changes or simple solar cycles. They were encoding information about stellar movements that take millennia to complete. The precession of the equinoxes, the changing positions of pole stars, the complex dance of planetary alignments. This level of astronomical sophistication requires not just casual observation, but systematic research conducted across hundreds of generations. Yet according to conventional timelines, the people who created these monuments shouldn't have possessed writing systems, let alone the mathematical knowledge necessary for such complex calculations. They were supposedly nomadic hunters following seasonal migrations, not astronomers conducting long-term research projects that spanned centuries. The contradiction becomes even more apparent when we examine the construction methods. Moving stones weighing dozens of tons across hundreds of miles of rough terrain would challenge modern transportation systems. Yet somehow, peoples who supposedly hadn't invented the wheel managed to transport massive blocks from distant quarries and position them with astronomical precision. Recent analysis using advanced scanning techniques has revealed that many of these ancient sites incorporate features that serve no obvious practical purpose, but demonstrate remarkable understanding of physics and engineering, acoustic properties that amplify sound in specific ways, electromagnetic characteristics that affect compass readings and electronic equipment, thermal properties that create microclimates around the structures. These features aren't accidental byproducts of construction, but appear to be deliberately designed elements that required sophisticated knowledge of principles we've only recently begun to understand ourselves. It's as if the builders were encoding multiple layers of information into their monuments, creating structures that function on levels we're still discovering. The pattern extends beyond individual sites to reveal what appears to be a global network of knowledge. Similar construction techniques appear across vast distances and supposedly different time periods. Identical astronomical alignments show up in locations separated by thousands of miles. Mathematical ratios, encoded in stone, appear consistently across different continents and cultures. This consistency suggests either remarkable coincidence or evidence of communication and knowledge sharing on a scale that conventional history doesn't acknowledge. How could isolated societies develop identical solutions to complex engineering problems? How could they achieve such precise astronomical knowledge without sophisticated instruments? How could they coordinate construction projects that required generations to complete? The answers might lie in understanding that our assumptions about ancient isolation and technological limitations are simply wrong. Instead of primitive societies struggling with basic survival, we might be looking at remnants of advanced civilizations that possessed capabilities we're only now beginning to appreciate. But if these civilizations were so advanced, why did they disappear? The archaeological record suggests that their end wasn't gradual decline, but sudden, systematic abandonment. Construction projects left unfinished. Sophisticated systems abandoned while still functional. Valuable artifacts deliberately buried or hidden. This pattern of deliberate concealment appears worldwide. Important sites covered with earth and stone. Precious objects hidden in locations designed to preserve them across millennia. Knowledge encoded in durable materials and hidden away, as if waiting for future discovery. The preservation methods used at these sites demonstrate forward thinking that anticipates threats centuries in the future. The builders understood that civilizations could fall, knowledge could be lost, and achievements could disappear unless extraordinary measures were taken to protect them. They were creating insurance policies for human knowledge, safeguarding essential information against the forces that constantly threaten to erase it. Recent geological research has revealed that Earth's history includes numerous catastrophic events capable of ending civilizations. Supervolcanic eruptions that blocked sunlight for years. Asteroid impacts that triggered global climate changes. Sudden shifts in magnetic fields that disrupted navigation and communication systems. Any of these events could have devastated advanced societies while leaving only fragmentary evidence of their existence. The Lasham magnetic reversal, roughly 42,000 years ago, temporarily weakened Earth's magnetic field to just 10% of its current strength. This event would have exposed the surface to dangerous levels of cosmic radiation, while disrupting any technology that relied on magnetic navigation. Civilizations dependent on sophisticated instruments or long-distance communication might have been forced to abandon their achievements and retreat to protected underground facilities. Evidence of such refugees appears worldwide. vast underground complexes carved from solid rock. Subterranean cities capable of supporting thousands of people for extended periods. These weren't simple shelters, but sophisticated survival systems with advanced ventilation, water management, and defensive features. They represent engineering projects that would challenge contemporary construction techniques. The complexity of these underground facilities suggests that their builders possessed detailed knowledge of geology, hydrology, and structural engineering. They understood how to create stable excavations in various rock types, how to manage groundwater and drainage, and how to design ventilation systems that could maintain breathable air in the deepest chambers. But most importantly, they understood that surface civilizations were vulnerable to catastrophic events and took extraordinary measures to prepare for them. This awareness might have come from direct experience with previous disasters, or from preserved knowledge of earlier catastrophes that had devastated previous advanced societies. The idea that human civilization has experienced multiple cycles of advancement and catastrophic interruption isn't new. Ancient texts from various cultures describe previous ages of human achievement that ended in global disasters. The Hindu concept of cyclical time includes descriptions of advanced previous civilizations. Greek philosophers wrote about lost golden ages when humans possessed capabilities that exceeded those of their own time. These accounts have traditionally been dismissed as mythology or allegory, but the archaeological evidence suggests they might preserve genuine historical memories. If advanced civilizations did exist in the distant past, their achievements would have been passed down through oral traditions even after the physical evidence disappeared. The consistency of flood myths across different cultures worldwide provides another clue. Stories of great deluges that destroyed previous civilizations appear in traditions from every continent. While the details vary, the core narrative remains remarkably similar. Advanced societies destroyed by rising waters, with only a few survivors preserving fragments of lost knowledge. Modern geology has confirmed that Earth has experienced rapid sea level changes throughout history. The meltwater pulse events that followed ice ages weren't gradual processes, but sudden releases of enormous volumes of water that could raise sea levels by several meters in just decades. Any coastal civilization caught in such an event would have had little time to adapt. But the most intriguing aspect of these ancient accounts is their suggestion that the survivors of previous catastrophes took deliberate action to preserve essential knowledge. They speak of wise individuals who foresaw coming disasters and made preparations to ensure that crucial information would survive the destruction of their civilizations. This matches the archaeological evidence of deliberate preservation we see at ancient sites worldwide. The careful burial of monuments, the encoding of astronomical data in stone, and the creation of underground refuges all suggest that ancient peoples understood the cyclical nature of human civilization and took responsibility for ensuring continuity across the dark periods. The implications for our own time are profound. If human civilization has indeed experienced multiple cycles of advancement and catastrophic interruption, we might be approaching another transition point. The same forces that challenged previous civilizations, climate change, resource depletion, and geological instability, continue to shape our world today. Understanding the strategies that enabled previous civilizations to preserve knowledge across catastrophic periods might be crucial for our own survival. The encoding techniques they used, the preservation methods they developed, and the underground refuges they created all offer potential models for protecting human achievement against future threats. But perhaps most importantly, the evidence suggests that human potential extends far deeper into the past than we've acknowledged. We are not the first advanced civilization this planet has seen, and we probably won't be the last. We are part of a continuing cycle of human achievement that has repeated itself multiple times throughout history. The question isn't whether this cycle will continue, but whether we can learn enough from those who came before us to break the pattern of catastrophic loss. The monuments they left behind, the knowledge they encoded in stone, And the preservation strategies they developed all offer clues for creating lasting achievements that might finally survive the forces that have claimed every previous civilization. The evidence is waiting beneath our feet, encoded in stone alignments and hidden in the deepest chambers of ancient underground cities. It tells a story of human achievement that extends far beyond our current understanding, and it offers lessons that might prove essential for our own future. The only question is whether we're ready to listen to what our ancestors were trying to tell us. The treasures buried beneath Easter Island weigh more than entire city blocks, carved with precision that our most advanced laser equipment can't match today. But that's nothing compared to what lies hidden in plain sight across our planet. Tonight, we're diving into discoveries that are forcing archaeologists to rewrite textbooks they've defended for decades. Underground chambers in Bosnia, larger than football stadiums, built with techniques we still can't replicate. Stone blocks in Peru, fitted so perfectly that earthquakes can't shake them apart. Yet they were supposedly cut by people using copper tools. And beneath the Amazon rainforest, satellite imaging has revealed geometric patterns stretching for hundreds of miles. Structures so vast and precise, they make our modern cities look like amateur sketches. This isn't about aliens or fantasy civilizations. This is about hard archaeological evidence that's been carbon dated, measured, and verified by respected institutions worldwide. Evidence that suggests our ancestors possessed knowledge of engineering, astronomy, and mathematics that rivals our own capabilities. And most disturbing of all, evidence that they deliberately buried their greatest achievements as if they knew something catastrophic was coming. The implications are staggering. If these discoveries are legitimate, we're not looking at the gradual evolution from primitive to advanced that we've been taught. We're looking at cycles of human achievement that stretch back tens of thousands of years, with civilizations rising to heights we're only now beginning to understand, then systematically hiding their accomplishments before vanishing from history. But the most unsettling part isn't what they built, it's why they chose to bury it all. In the windswept valleys of Peru's Sacred Valley, where ancient terraces still cling to impossible mountain slopes, a discovery has emerged that challenges everything we thought we knew about pre-Columbian engineering. Hidden beneath centuries of vegetation and landslides, archaeologists have uncovered stone foundations that extend far deeper than any known Inca construction. These aren't the familiar fitted stones of Machu Picchu, impressive as those are. These are megalithic blocks that dwarf anything the Inca are known to have moved, arranged in patterns that suggest knowledge of seismic engineering we've only recently developed ourselves. The blocks themselves tell a story that conventional archaeology struggles to explain. Some weigh over 300 tons, yet they've been positioned with tolerances that modern precision equipment would be proud to achieve. The surfaces are so smooth they appear polished, yet they show no tool marks that can be identified with any known ancient technology. Most mysteriously, many of these massive stones show evidence of having been melted and reformed, as if subjected to temperatures that shouldn't have been achievable by any pre-industrial civilization. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys have revealed that these surface blocks are merely the visible portion of structures that extend deep underground. Chambers and corridors carved from solid bedrock stretch for miles beneath the valley floor, connected by passages that maintain perfect gradients across vast distances. The engineering required to plan and execute such excavations requires not just advanced mathematics, but sophisticated understanding of geology and hydrology. What makes this discovery even more intriguing is its apparent connection to similar sites being uncovered across South America. From the high plateaus of Bolivia to the coastal deserts of Chile, evidence is emerging of construction techniques that appear to be part of a unified technological tradition. The precision stonework, the megalithic scale, and the sophisticated understanding of earthquake-resistant design all point to a level of engineering knowledge that conventional timelines place thousands of years in the future. But these sites share another characteristic that's becoming impossible to ignore. They all show signs of deliberate abandonment and concealment. Construction projects left unfinished at the moment of their greatest sophistication. Valuable artifacts, carefully removed or hidden. Entrances sealed with such precision that they remained undetected for centuries. The pattern suggests that whoever created these monuments didn't simply abandon them due to conquest or gradual decline. They made conscious decisions to hide their achievements, taking extraordinary measures to ensure their greatest works would remain concealed until some future time. The question that haunts archaeologists is simple. What did they know that we don't? Recent analysis of organic materials found at these sites has produced radiocarbon dates that push the timeline of advanced construction in South America back by thousands of years. Some samples suggest human activity at these locations dating to over 15,000 years ago, long before the supposed development of complex societies in the region. If accurate, these dates would require a complete revision of our understanding of when and how sophisticated civilizations developed in the Americas. The astronomical alignments built into these structures add another layer of mystery. Unlike the relatively simple solar and lunar observations found at most ancient sites, these monuments track stellar movements that take thousands of years to complete. The builders weren't just marking seasonal changes. They were encoding information about celestial cycles that require sophisticated mathematical knowledge to calculate and generations of careful observation to verify. The precision of these alignments becomes even more remarkable when we consider the geological instability of the region. The Andes are among the world's most seismically active mountains, yet these ancient astronomical markers have maintained their accuracy for millennia. This suggests that the builders possessed not only advanced knowledge of astronomy, but also engineering techniques that could create monuments capable of withstanding repeated earthquakes without losing their celestial alignments. Underground, the story becomes even more extraordinary. The subterranean chambers reveal evidence of technologies that seem completely out of place for their supposed time period. Ventilation systems that maintain constant airflow throughout multi-level complexes. Water management networks that control drainage and humidity with precision that modern buildings rarely achieve. Acoustic properties that suggest deliberate design for specific sound effects. Some chambers show evidence of having been used for metallurgy, with furnace systems capable of achieving temperatures that weren't supposed to be possible with ancient fuel sources. Analysis of slag and residue found at these sites indicates that the inhabitants were working with alloys and materials that required advanced understanding of chemistry and materials science. The tools and techniques evident at these sites challenge our most basic assumptions about ancient technological capabilities. Drill holes that maintain perfect consistency throughout their depth, suggesting powered equipment rather than hand tools. Cut surfaces that show no variation in angle or finish across vast areas. Joint systems that demonstrate understanding of stress distribution and structural engineering that anticipates principles we thought were modern innovations. Perhaps most intriguingly, many of these underground facilities show signs of having been designed for long-term habitation during extended periods of surface danger. Storage areas capable of holding years' worth of supplies. Living quarters that could accommodate large populations. Defensive features that suggest preparation for threats that could make the surface world uninhabitable for extended periods. The sophistication of these survival systems suggests that their builders understood something about the cyclical nature of catastrophic events. They weren't just creating temporary shelters, but establishing underground civilizations that could maintain advanced societies even during surface disasters that might last for decades or centuries. This level of preparation implies knowledge of recurring patterns of destruction that goes far beyond simple, natural disaster awareness. It suggests understanding of cycles that operate on timescales spanning thousands of years. Knowledge that could only have been accumulated through direct experience with previous catastrophic events or through preserved records of earlier disasters. The artifacts found at these sites provide additional clues about the technological capabilities of their creators. Precision instruments that appear to be astronomical calculation devices. Metal objects that show evidence of manufacturing techniques we've only recently developed. Stone carvings that encode mathematical relationships we're still working to fully understand. But perhaps most significantly, many of these artifacts show signs of having been deliberately damaged or modified before burial. Important pieces removed, key components destroyed, as if the creators were ensuring that their most advanced technologies couldn't be easily reconstructed by whoever eventually discovered them. This pattern of deliberate technological concealment appears at ancient sites worldwide, suggesting coordinated efforts to hide advanced knowledge from future civilizations. But why would advanced societies choose to destroy or conceal their greatest achievements? What circumstances could lead to such drastic decisions? The answer might lie in understanding the relationship between technological advancement and civilizational vulnerability. Advanced societies become dependent on complex systems that can be catastrophically disrupted by environmental changes, resource depletion, or social upheaval. The more sophisticated the technology, the more fragile the civilization becomes when supporting systems fail. The evidence suggests that previous advanced civilizations learned this lesson through bitter experience. Rather than allowing their technologies to be misused or to create dependencies that could lead to catastrophic collapse, they chose to hide their achievements until future societies might be ready to handle such power responsibly. This interpretation explains both the advanced capabilities evident at ancient sites and the mysterious pattern of concealment and abandonment. It suggests that human technological development has followed cyclical patterns, with each civilization learning from the mistakes of their predecessors while facing similar challenges and making similar difficult decisions about how to preserve knowledge while preventing its misuse. As we continue to uncover evidence of these ancient achievements, we're not just learning about remarkable engineering capabilities, we're discovering a deeper understanding of the relationship between technological power and civilizational responsibility. The lessons encoded in these buried monuments might prove crucial as our own civilization grapples with the consequences of advanced technology and the challenges of long-term sustainability. The stone blocks scattered across remote valleys in Peru are just the beginning. Similar evidence is emerging worldwide, each discovery adding another piece to a puzzle that reveals human capability extending far deeper into the past than we've ever imagined. And with each new site uncovered, the pattern becomes clearer. We are not the first advanced civilization this planet has hosted, and the choices made by our predecessors might hold the key to our own survival. But hidden beneath the sands of Egypt's western desert, where the scorching sun has preserved secrets for millennia, lies evidence that makes even Peru's megalithic mysteries pale in comparison. Recent excavations have uncovered chambers carved from solid bedrock with such precision that modern diamond-tipped cutting equipment couldn't improve upon their accuracy. These aren't the familiar burial chambers we associate with ancient Egypt. These are technological marvels that showcase capabilities we're still struggling to understand. The chambers themselves defy every assumption we've made about ancient Egyptian construction methods. The walls are perfectly smooth, cut to tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. The corners form precise right angles that remain accurate across vast surfaces. The ceilings are flat and level to a degree that requires sophisticated surveying equipment to verify. Yet according to conventional timelines, these chambers were carved during periods when Egyptian civilization supposedly relied on copper tools and manual labor. But the real mystery lies in what these chambers were designed to contain. Unlike the ornate burial chambers found in pyramids and tombs, these spaces are stark and functional. They show evidence of having housed sophisticated equipment with mounting points, drainage systems, and ventilation networks that suggest industrial rather than ceremonial purposes. Recent analysis has revealed that the chambers incorporate acoustic properties that create specific resonance effects. Sound waves introduced at certain frequencies are amplified and focused in ways that require advanced understanding of wave mechanics and architectural acoustics. The precision required to achieve such effects through stone carving alone suggests knowledge of physics principles that weren't supposed to be discovered until the modern era. The ventilation systems represent another engineering marvel that challenges our understanding of ancient capabilities. Air shafts carved with mathematical precision create pressure differentials that maintain constant airflow throughout the deepest chambers. The angles and dimensions of these passages demonstrate understanding of fluid dynamics that enables passive air circulation systems more efficient than many modern buildings achieve with powered equipment. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed that these visible chambers are connected to vast underground networks that extend for miles beneath the desert. The passages maintain consistent dimensions and gradients across enormous distances, suggesting surveying capabilities that could map underground routes with precision that satellite navigation would be proud to match. But perhaps most mysteriously, many of these chambers show evidence of having been deliberately sealed and abandoned while they were still fully functional. Valuable equipment was carefully removed, important inscriptions were deliberately obscured, and entrances were concealed with such skill that they remained hidden for thousands of years. The effort required to hide such massive installations suggests that their abandonment was planned and systematic, rather than the result of sudden disaster. The pattern of concealment becomes even more intriguing when we examine the methods used to hide these facilities. Entrance passages were filled with precisely cut stone blocks that match the surrounding bedrock so perfectly they're virtually undetectable. Ventilation shafts were sealed with plugs that blend seamlessly with natural rock formations. Surface markers were removed or disguised to eliminate any trace of the underground installations. This level of concealment requires not just advanced construction skills, but sophisticated understanding of geology and erosion patterns. The builders knew how to create hiding places that would remain undetected for millennia, while preserving the installations beneath from environmental damage. They were creating time capsules designed to protect advanced technology across vast periods of time. Recent electromagnetic surveys have detected anomalies beneath the desert that suggest these hidden chambers might contain metallic objects of considerable size. Some readings indicate structures that appear to be precision-manufactured components rather than crude ancient artifacts. The electromagnetic signatures suggest materials and configurations that we associate with advanced technology rather than traditional archaeological finds. But accessing these buried chambers has proven extraordinarily difficult. The sealing methods used by their creators were designed to resist not just casual discovery, but determined excavation efforts. Multiple layers of concealment, decoy passages, and structural barriers protect the deepest levels from unauthorized access. It's as if the builders anticipated that future civilizations might try to uncover their secrets and took elaborate precautions to prevent it. The few artifacts that have been recovered from accessible areas of these installations showcase manufacturing precision that seems impossible for ancient technology. Metal components with tolerances measured in thousandths of inches, crystal formations that appear to have been artificially grown rather than naturally occurring, stone objects with internal structures that suggest molding or casting techniques we haven't identified. Analysis of these artifacts reveals materials and manufacturing methods that don't match any known ancient technology. Alloys that combine elements in proportions that require sophisticated metallurgy. Crystal structures that demonstrate controlled growth processes. Stone compositions that suggest artificial synthesis rather than natural formation. The implications are staggering. If these artifacts are genuine products of ancient Egyptian civilization, they indicate technological capabilities that exceed our current understanding of what was possible during pharaonic periods. If they're not Egyptian in origin, they raise even more disturbing questions about who created them and why they were hidden beneath Egypt's desert. The astronomical alignments incorporated into these installations add another layer of mystery. Unlike the solar and stellar alignments found in pyramids and temples, these underground chambers are oriented to celestial objects and events that operate on much longer timescales. Some alignments track stellar positions as they appeared thousands of years in the past, suggesting that the builders possessed detailed knowledge of stellar motion spanning millennia. The mathematical relationships encoded in the dimensions and proportions of these chambers reveal understanding of geometric principles that weren't formally recognized until centuries later. Golden ratios, pi relationships, and complex trigonometric functions appear consistently throughout the installations, integrated into structural elements in ways that serve both functional and symbolic purposes. But the most disturbing aspect of these discoveries might be their apparent age. Initial dating attempts have produced results that push the construction timeline back far beyond accepted Egyptian chronology. Some organic materials found in sealed chambers have return dates suggesting the installations could be over 10,000 years old, predating known Egyptian civilization by millennia. If accurate, these dates would require complete revision of our understanding of when advanced technology first appeared in the Nile Valley. They would suggest that sophisticated engineering capabilities existed in Egypt thousands of years before the first pharaohs, implying the existence of advanced civilizations that left no trace in the conventional archaeological record. The pattern of advanced technology followed by systematic concealment that we see in Egypt mirrors discoveries being made worldwide. From the hidden chambers beneath Peru's mountains to the sealed installations found in other desert regions, evidence is mounting that ancient peoples possessed capabilities we're only now beginning to recognize, and that they took extraordinary measures to hide these achievements from future discovery. The question that haunts every new excavation is simple. What did they know that made them choose concealment over glory? Why would civilizations capable of such remarkable achievements choose to bury their greatest works rather than celebrate them? And what does their decision to hide these technologies tell us about the challenges our own civilization might face? The answers might be buried deeper than we've yet been able to dig, sealed behind barriers that were designed to resist discovery until humanity reaches some threshold of wisdom or maturity that their creators deemed necessary for safely handling such knowledge. Until then, the desert keeps its secrets, and we're left to wonder what other marvels lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves to a world that might finally be ready to understand what they represent.